Welcome back to Gazzetta Walks, and obviously I'm using this time to just talk about something that I don't get a chance to do on the paper reviews, don't get a chance to do on the podcast for Inter Spezia, and just talk about something in Italian football that I want to share with you guys. And this one, I mean, you got to put it with bad camera angles, but who cares? This one is something for anyone starting out with Italian football or just who hasn't heard of this, because I don't think when I speak to, don't think it gets enough recognition, but when I speak to all of my friends, colleagues in the Italian game, one thing we always come back to is the book History of Calcio by John Foote. I mean, it's a Bible, it's an absolute Bible. And the fact is that this amazing piece of literature that John created has, for me, since way back when, I can't remember when it came out, but my earliest memories of reading it, probably my favourite memories of reading it were in Lake Garda back in 2007, and just being sat by a pool and just like going through the different elements and the layers of history that he brought to many people's attention. Because before that, obviously we all knew Gazzetta Football Italia and you could do your own research, but you've got to think that, you know, going way back when, the AI wasn't a thing, the internet was limited to the point of where it is today, and some information was hard to get. We couldn't even get football, if you remember, at some points on English TV, Italian football that is, in that horrible dark ages between Football Italia and Setanta. So, you know, you've got to think about it then as just how much it gave so many people, that book. And John, who I'm very privileged to have spoken to and interviewed before, has, you know, really given the world something there that's had so many different premises. And what's good about that book as well is the format of the book and the way that it's just broken down into stories, you know, stories about the referee, breaking down the clubs into different, you know, segments and the best moments. And it's not just this massive Wikipedia monologue, for want of a better word, that we've seen in some Italian football books that just look like it's a copy and paste from Wiki. This is something that's brilliant when it talks about the foreign players to have played in Italy. You know, the stories about the Bologna and Torino, for instance, in the ultra groups, and the gunshots fired between, I think it was Bologna Genoa, back in the formative years of Italian football. Well, say formative, the 30s. It's an incredible insight into Italian football. And also as well, I think that, you know, you can pick a chapter at random, read that, or even like a brief, excuse the pun, but one of the footnotes almost, that you can just go and read a small section and come back to it. And I think that's, in one respect, is why that it is seen in some respects as the Italian football Bible, for want of a better word. It's something that I know a lot of people refer back to, and it's really hard because there's so many good books on Italian football at the moment, some good, some bad, but, you know, being positive, I think there's more good than bad. But John sticks out as one that you go to as a reference point. And so if you've not heard of it, if you've not read it, please do. It's if you love Italian football, it is a bit of a must. And I think more than anything else, it's got that sort of longevity because it has had updates, and it has hit myself with a tree. It has had updates, and it's an incredible, as I said before, reference point to go back to, and to look at those stories and to understand it, because it tells you about the culture of Italy. It understands the fanship, and it's unbiased as well. I think that's one of the main things to it. It really is an unbiased element to it, because you don't get that sort of partisan element to it when you can see that there's certain clubs that, you know, sometimes when you read books you can see, you know, of course, if someone who's a Roman writes about Francesco Totti or etc, there's always that little bit element to it. But John takes himself out of that, because I actually do know that he has a preference for a certain club, but you wouldn't tell, and I think that's a real testament to what his ability to do that. Obviously he's written extensively on Italy, whether it's on fascism, whether it's on religion, politics, Garibaldi, various different elements to it, so wide and varied. But all of that knowledge that he has from the history and culture of the country transcends into this piece, and it's an amazing book because of that, because it just doesn't talk about football, it talks about the surroundings of it. And I think with Italy, when you do get deep into Italian football culture, you start to understand quite quickly that like in any country, it's so interlinked into the political, socioeconomic situation. So it's certainly one you can obviously look at Italian football, and obviously with it being such a young country, it probably has that little bit of a different element to it, where, you know, you're thinking the local tribalism, for want of a better word, is there. So yeah, it's certainly something you should have a look at. So John Flood's History of Calcio is certainly the best Italian football book in my opinion, so go and have a look, and yeah, let me know what you think.